Hi, and welcome to the second episode of our podcast for the program Immigrant Success Canada, your coaching program for a successful and happy life in Canada. I'm your host and co founder, Emmanuel Petrescu, and as always, I have my dear friend, co founder, as a guest, Charlie.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlie Beck.
And for the next 5 episodes, we're going to focus more on our program, our coaching program, which consists of 5 modules. So we're going to cover in more details in each episode the modules, which are self-assessment, education, work-life balance, natural environment, and a success actual plan. Last episode, we've talked in general about our program and some of the key elements in general. But as said, today we're going to focus on the first module, which is called self assessment. Charlie, let me ask you, let's jump right in and let me ask you, what are the key components of this module, the first module, module one, self assessment, that's included in our program, Immigrant Success Canada?
Thank you, Emmanuel. I'm really happy to talk about our self-assessment. Basically, it has three key components. So first one is uh, three simple steps to success in Canada. And then next one is your immigration fitness in Canada. And then the last one is your action plan for the next 20 years in Canada. So those three actually are the key components of self-assessment.
That's great. Let's debate a little bit on all these key elements that you mentioned and you said about the summary, the simple steps to immigration in Canada.
Yeah, so let me talk about the first three simple steps to success in Canada. This is basically developed based on my own experience. I have lived and worked for 22 years in Canada so far. And based on my experience, I developed these three steps. And three steps include first, 5 years in Canada. And then second step is 5 to 10 years. And then third and last step is 10 to 20 years and then beyond. So those are three steps. So I think Emmanuel, you are in now, I think second step, right? So
I I'm in the growing state. Yes.
yes. So
So
first step, first 5 years is we call it settlement period. The first 5 years in Canada. So this period could be one of the most challenging period because you are in a new country and different culture, and then so we have to start again. So very challenging but also exciting period. And then the second stage is 5 to 10 years. It is growing period. So
I need to
you,
ask before moving forward. I need to ask why 5 years? And I know the answer, but many of our listeners don't know. But why 5 years? Why not six? Why not 10? Why not 2 years or 3 years? Why
oh,
is it 5 years?
that's very good question. So it could be 3 years or 5 years or 6 years, depending on each person, right? Each person's situation is different. But in order to make a common element, I divided it into three stages, right? 5, 10, 20, right? But it can be shorter, 3 years, or it can be a little bit longer, 6 years, right? But usually it takes about 5 years to settle down and then to be comfortable about the Canada. That's why this is 5 years.
And
So
I can confirm that. I knew that before actually meeting Charlie, and I experienced that myself. So it's fair to say that the buffer, I call it buffer period personally, like a buffer between the you and the new you, the new paradigm that you live in, and that's
mm,
5 years. I interrupted you when you were describing the growing in Canada stage, the second stage where I personally am right now, the one after the buffer period between 5 to 10 to 12 years.
right.
Can you give us more details about the second period, 5 to 10 to 12 years?
Absolutely. This period is called the growth period. So here you grow your career, your family. If you have children, you raise your children and you actively work very hard to
Very
build
hard.
your family and also your success in Canada. So you have to be very active and then also making friends in Canada and immersing in Canadian culture and broadening your network of people and you feel more comfortable. So this is second step, the growing period.
And the next one, the fun part, enjoying Canada, 10 to 20 to 50 to 200 years and beyond.
Yes, this is the happiest period. So actually, I'm in this period now. So I'm enjoying Canada 100%, right? So based on my own experience, now I feel really happy. Oh, I made a good decision. Canada is a great country, right? So I'm healthy and I have a good job and then I maintain work and life balance. And my wife is happy. She has her own business and she's healthy. And my children both are grown up and they are healthy. And then my son is working for a company and my daughter in the university. So now I feel really great. And then uh, I'm enjoying work and life balance. So I work for the government and life balance. I love playing tennis. So I play tennis twice or 3 times a week. And that's the best part of me. So this period is called enjoying Canada, 3 steps. So that's why. So these are total 3 steps success in Canada.
I like to emphasize again, as we did in the first episode, about the happiness part because success is one thing, happiness is a totally different thing. And to be truly fulfilled, I think that there's a mix between both successful at work in business, but also about being happy. And successful means a lot of work, especially in Canada. But maybe we'll go through the details in another episode of how work in Canada is and what hard work actually means. Because it was a totally different concept before coming here for me.
Absolutely, yeah. So, but every person has different perspective about what success means, right?
Of course,
And but all people agree that we want to be happy, right? That's most important thing.
for sure. Let's move on to the next section of the first module, something that got my attention: immigration fitness. I haven't heard the term before you introduced me to it, Charlie, and I'm pretty sure many of our listeners are also intrigued by it. So, could you give us a more brief introduction?
Uh, this means immigration fitness, which means Coming to new country and living for life is one of the biggest decisions you have to make. So it's very important you are fit or whether you are comfortable living in new country. So that's why we developed this part, immigration fitness, because we want you to be successful and happy. But if you are not fit and your personality or your attitude, your family situation, your finance, and your spouse, your family members do not support. So all things should come in together to be successful. So based on our research and our experience, we developed this test to evaluate whether actually you will be successful in Canada or not. Because as you might know, we see many people came to Canada, but they failed and they go back to their home country, right? So
Many.
coming to Canada is not for everyone. So we want to help you to test yourself whether you are a good fit or not. That will make huge difference. If you are not a good fit, I don't think you should come to Canada because that's not good for you and also for your family members. So that's why we developed this test, and this test has 25 questions, and you score, you test, take the test, and then score it and send us, and then we evaluate and whether you are a good fit or not. So I'll give you a couple of tips.
You
So
read my mind.
yeah, so I think to be successful in Canada, I think there are several things. First thing is passion. So Emmanuel loved to use this word passion. Passion means you do what you love to do, right? So you have to love first Canada, right? If you don't love Canada, you should not come, okay? You should love Canada. You have passion about Canada. Oh, Canada is a great country. Canada offers a lot of things, so you have passion about it. And then second one is planning skills. You have skills to plan ahead because living in new country and working in new country, you have to plan and then adjust to yourself. So planning ability is very essential. And then next one is trust among you and your spouse or your partner and your family members. If there is no agreement or trust among them, you would not be successful. And the last one is believing in yourself. You have to believe in you, your ability. I can do it. I can be successful in Canada. I think this is very important. So those are the key success factors in Canada. So if we have these qualities, you'll be successful and happy.
And I like to emphasize the fact that probably many people, as I did, think that you need to be passionate and be successful for something, I don't know, out of the extraordinary, but you don't need to be like a banker or, I don't know, something big. If you're passionate about, let's say, you love animals, you can be extremely successful in a country such as Canada, and you can make a lot of money. You can make a name for yourself. You can become somebody for that specific passion. It can be music, it can be finance, it can be art, it can be anything. So Canada offers these possibilities that I would say many, but correct term is most countries don't really allow for somebody to express themselves and be successful in the field that they are passionate about. And
Yes.
that's a key differentiator about Canada.
So You are right. We talk about it. Canada is one of the number one countries to live in the world, right? And based on our research, there are three reasons why people come to Canada. One of them is education for their children. We have great public education. And then the other one is work and life balance. As Emmanuel said, you can do what you love to do and whatever it can be, but you can have balance. That is great. And then last one is Canada is clean and beautiful natural environment and stable government, right? So it offers a lot of good things. So you can experience those things. So those are why Canada, why people come to Canada.
Yes, Canada is probably a dream for many. That's why we created that program to help them also understand the value. You said Canada is. You didn't mention that Canada is also very, very big. It has a
Yeah.
lot of nature that you can enjoy, but it's extremely big, and it's a good place to be in. When you mention immigration fitness, and if you're fit, my first thought was I need to be fit because in Canada you need to shovel a lot of snow. So that's a skill many don't think about before coming to Canada. And you can confirm that, right, Charlie? Because I believe you just shoveled
Yeah.
probably a lot of snow just to get your car starting. So that's part of the fitness as well, right? Being fit for
Exactly.
that. I guess that's we should mention that before moving on to the third and last module, subsection of the first module, self-assessment. We should mention that all the information that we discuss is available on our website, which is isc-go.com, isc-go.com. People can go there. We have a contact form. We have links to also to our social media accounts where people can follow us, can send us a message and ask us more details, but also can read more about what we're discussing right now. And most likely they're going to see these episodes as well. And we would like to ask them to follow, like, share, subscribe.
Yes.
Next, what's the last and third subsection of the first module?
Uh, Last element is called the action plan for the next 20 years. So you might think, oh, how can I plan for the next 20 years? It seems to be too long, right?
Especially for someone that came from certain countries where there's uncertainty. And to be honest, from my culture, we don't really have the long term plan, 20 years. So I assume that many countries are similar, many cultures, not just countries, are similar, and they don't have the vision for a long term due to political situations, due to
Mhm.
economic situations, or simple as that. So it might, if you would have told me about a 20 years plan when I came to Canada, I would have understand it differently that I understand it now.
Okay, so let me give you why we developed the 20 years plan because as you know, we never know how long we live exactly, right? Nobody knows it. So that's the beauty of life, right? So we have to live each and every day happily and successful because of that. But the reason we provide the 20 years plan is having a plan and having a purpose in life actually help you to be a better person. And so that's why we developed the 20 years plan. So although it cannot be accurate, but the goal is having yourself in the future next 20 years and then imagine it and then envision it. And then it'll help you uh, reflect on your current self, right? Where you are, who you are, and then what kind of person I want to be in 20 years. But this is not just vague concept. So I we developed in six key categories. We call it high Wi-Fi. High Wi-Fi. So high-fi should be high speed, right? So it means HI, high, WI, Wi-Fi, FI. So it means first high, H means health, and then I means integrity, and then Y, W means work, and then I means investment, and then Phi, F means family, and then last I means interpersonal relationships. So those six high Wi-Fi makes you a whole person. So in these six categories, you plan yourself. So imagine that in Emmanuel, in 20 years, first H, health. What would be your health, right? How healthy you are and what kind of physical activity you will do. And then next I, integrity means how honest you are and then what kind of faith, what kind of religion you want to be in 20 years, right? And then W means your work. So what kind of work in 20 years you will do? And then, right? So first start in 20 years. And then next step is 10 years. No, not 10 years, 5 years, okay? 20 years, 5 years, and then 1 year in three stages. So imagine what kind of person you will be in these six categories, right? So, for example, one of them is investment. Investment means finance and how much money you want to have in 20 years. It can be 1 million, 10 million, or half a million, right? And then what kind of portfolio you will have. You can have plan about that. So F means family. So how many members of family you want to build, right? Five, 10, or just two, and what kind of situation you will be. So we developed specific spreadsheet to fill in each category. And then, so as I told, 20 years, 5 years, and then 1 year. So last step is you plan for the next 12 months what kind of activity you do for six categories. Actually, I started this model and I applied it when I was 49 years old. So I have been using this one now about 8 years. I'm now 57, so I'm using it. So it has been working. So it will be working for you too. So in this self-assessment module, you will develop your 20 years action plan and will provide coaching and guide. And at the end of our program, you will update and complete your 20 years plan again. So this is about your action plan for 20 years.
Trust the process. We have developed a process that we know it works. Of course, it's not easy, but we know it works. And I've noticed many newcomers
Mhm.
not trusting so much the process because, again, due to the same upbringing, in a say, the same history. But Canada, as mentioned before, is a place that allows you to express and be yourself and be also successful. When you mention the 20 years plan and you need to sit and think about how much money do you want, somebody would say, well, I want $1 million. Is it achievable? Yes, it is. It is extremely achievable. It's not easy, right? You need to work hard, but you can do it, and it can be done in almost any area possible. That's one of the key differentiators for Canada. That's why I insist a lot, and probably it's the third time I mentioned this. If you like to, you don't need to be, I said, a banker or a movie star or a musician or run for office or so on. If you like to animals, you can walk dogs and make a good business out of it. If you like to fix computers, you can definitely do a business and be successful and have that kind of money. If you work in construction or as a security guard or even basically anything, Canada provides you the tools to be successful, including the financial aspect.
And yeah, I like to comment on your feedback. Actually, Canada is very stable and peaceful country, so it is good for us to plan next to 20 years compared to other countries that are more turbulent and those things. So that's another good thing for Canada. And I like to mention one more thing. In this 20 years plan, you will include first what is the purpose of your life. So why you live. So you write down why I live, and then the other one is when you die, what kind of legacy you wanna leave. So how do you wanna be remembered by other people, right? When you leave this world. So you will write those two things, and then based on that, you'll plan 20 years.
Things can change in 20 years, right? And it's okay to change, adjust, and
And
priorities.
another thing is you review this action plan twice a year, every 6 months, okay? Every 6 months, you review and then update it for 1 hour, okay? And then you do the process the same thing. Keep going. So for me, now I'm 57, so 20 years would be 77, right? I hope I would live until then, right? So I'm planning next 20 years too, 77. So maybe I would be dead at the time. So, and then how do you want to be remembered by other people, right?
The greatest tennis player.
Actually, I want to be remembered by others. Oh, Charlie lived a very positive and happy life. That's kind of uh, how I want to be remembered.
That's honorable. And I know you will be remembered, but that's a long way to go until then. Before we wrap everything up, any conclusion for the entire module? So what we did as a summary, we discussed in details what the first module of our program, Immigrant Success Canada, includes. The program is called self-assessment, and it's the first step you need to take to be able to decide and understand, because taking this test may actually reveal some aspects that you wouldn't have thought about before, if your Canada is the right place for you and if you are making the right decision. So any conclusion to for the entire module, Charlie?
I'd like to conclude our self-assessment. Emmanuel and I are very passionate about helping new immigrants. And so we believe that we provide the coaching for your long-term success. So that's why self-assessment is very important for us, and we want you become successful. In order to do that, you have to know yourself, whether you are a good fit or not. And then based on that, you have to develop your plan. So our program is basically long-term focused one, next to 20 years, which is very different from other coaching or immigration programs. And we focus on qualities, not quantities. So we develop quality program and for the long-term success. That's my conclusion.
And with that, I say we'll wrap up. Thank you for watching and listening. Just a reminder that everything we discuss and even more information can be found on our website www.isc-go.com. So ISC stands for Immigrant Success Canada, isc-go.com. Over there, we have links to our social media profiles. We have contact forms. You can reach out to us to learn more about what life in Canada is. And in the next episode, we are going to discuss the second module of our program, which is education. Thank you so much. My name is Emmanuel.
Thank you. See you next time. I'm Charlie back.
See you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.